Well, hello and welcome. For this video, I'm going to show you how to build the UEFI TOTS by ThatOSDev on GitHub on macOS. This project was initially developed with a Windows development environment in mind. However, there is nothing really stopping us from building this project on macOS and Linux, for which I'm going to create another video. You will find that in the README we have build instructions, so you can follow those step by step and get the project working on your machine. All right, so let's get into it. The first thing we need is the project itself. So I have already done this. I have gone and cloned the repository. You will notice that here we have a hold directory and a drive directory. So in the drive directory, there's already a drive.htd file that comes with the project. But in the hold directory, we have a zip file that has a 256 megabyte drive. The drive here is 40 megabytes. It works on Windows, but doesn't quite work well on macOS and Linux. So we're going to need that 256 one. So first thing I need to do is unzip that file. Oops, wrong file. Hold drive GPT, and I'm going to put it on top of the existing drive file. All right, done and dusted. To prove that this works, I will run QEMU on my machine with the drive that we just unzipped. And you will see that this drive already has a UEFI working on it beautifully. So let's close that. In order for us to run our own builds, what we need to do is mount that drive, put our files on it, dismount it, and run QEMU. And I'm going to demonstrate how we can do that. The very first thing we need to do is run HDI-util on Mac, run attach, pass image key with a disk class of raw disk, because we don't want Mac to think this is a image file, and we also don't want it to mount it, because if it tries to mount it automatically, it will fail. So we just say just attach this disk. And what this means is you will see that it got recognized as a GUID disk. If you look on disk utility, you will see that we have our disk here, but it's grayed out, and that means it's not mounted. So let's go and mount it. We can click on this, mount it, eject it, all of that stuff, but I'm going to stick to our command line tools. All right, first thing we need is a mount point. I'm going to create a mount point on my temp directory and mount second partition, not the reserved partition, second partition of our disk. And I also need to give it the file system. So I say this is an MS-DOS file system, which it will recognize as FAT32. And disk2 S2. I want it on our mount point. Before I run that, let me just show you that our mount point is actually empty. I just created it, right? So let's mount it. Now if I look inside that directory, you will see there's a bunch of things in there. You will also notice that in our disk utility, that disk is not grayed out anymore. That means it's mounted. And it also shows up on the desktop. Notice that there is an EFI directory there. And that directory has a boot x64.efi file, which is the binary that we just ran with QEMU. And we're going to replace that with something else. So let's have a look at tutorial number 1. There's nothing in here apart from the original source code from the repository. To demonstrate that we are in fact building this, I'll go into the source code, and this line where it says testing, I will change that to hello world and save. All right, so now we need to build that C file. We can't use GCC because we're going to need to target Windows. The reason for that is, as an EFI requirement, we need to target for Windows with a MS ABI standard. So I'm not going to go into that, but we're all going to have a quick look at the build instructions. You will see for Mac, you're going to need Homebrew, just to make things easy for us. Just go and follow here if you don't have this package manager already, and install QEMU and or VirtualBox. I have both. And for building, we need MinGW64 package. I have already installed all of that. And your Mac will come with make anyway. Nice and simple, just run make, and you will see that a different version of GCC is being used, to be specific, the one that we just installed. And now we should have a binary, which is the boot x64 EFI. And we can simply move this file into our mount point. So EFI, and we put it there, overwriting the previous binary. Let's unmount our mount point, detach our disk. Okay, now if we run QEMU, we will see a hello world message, which is the one that we just created. That's beautiful. So that's how you build and copy the binary into our disk. Very nice and easy. To make things even nicer, I'm going to demonstrate something real quick. So let's jump back into our tutorial and create a file called deploy.sh. So what we're going to do here is automate every command that we just typed. So I'll include the shebang, the HDI util command that we had to attach our drive. We're going to use that, and notice that the drive is in a different directory. Then what we need to do is mount that disk. However, we need a mount point, so let's just make sure that we do have a mount point. And the thing is, we don't quite know if the disk index you're going to get is actually 2. So what we can do here instead is we can get it from the output of this command and put it in a variable. However, looking at the output, so you will see that we need the line 1 of the output and the first field of that. So let's get line 1 and field 1. All right, so that should give us this value, which is devdisk2, and we don't really care if it is any other number because we can deal with that as we go. And then we need to interpolate that into our command. Nice and easy. So once that disk is mounted, what we need is our boot x64 EFI into the mount point EFI boot. All right, nice and easy. And unmount our mount point and detach our disk. I believe that's it. Okay, let's go and do this. Oh, you know what? We can also do a beautiful clean build before we do this. Okay, so let's change our EFI main code again, and this time we will do a different message. Instead of hello world, we do goodbye universe. Okay, now let's run our deploy script. I believe I have a typo. Yep, this is the problem. I shouldn't have typed that. All right, let's try again. Okay, nice and easy, beautiful. Now let's run QEMU. And that's it. We got the message that we wanted. And you know what? Even if you want to make it nicer, you can have this command run into this script. So you can simply change your code and run the script, and it gives you a latest build running in QEMU. How good is that? It just makes your dev cycle much faster, which means you can focus on more important things and leave building and deploying to another script. And once you have this, you can simply go and run VirtualBox as well if you don't want to use QEMU. That's up to you, but I'm not going to explain how to create that. That's straightforward. Well, I hope you enjoyed it, and join our Discord if you have any questions, and we'll try to be as much help as we can be. All right, talk to you soon.